Well, an active shooter situation turned hostage situation in South Jersey. Police say 2 women are being held against their will by an armed man in Gloucester County. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Donovan.
And I'm Rahel Solomon. This tense situation started at about 8:30 this morning at a UPS mail facility. The building is located on the 200 block of Birch Creek Road in Logan Township, Gloucester County, New Jersey. We have got Team 3 coverage. Let's begin now with Eyewitness News reporter Cleve Bryan. He joins us live from Logan Township, where police held the press conference just moments ago. Cleve.
That's right. We just heard from the Gloucester County prosecutor about what they can tell us on the situation that unfolded. It's starting around 8:30 this morning. They got a call for an active shooter situation. That person had come into the UPS facility in Logan Township, had fired off some shots, but not injured anyone at that time. And we've come to find out that the person then took 2 women hostage that were employees or are employees of UPS at that facility. Charles Fiore is the prosecutor for Gloucester County. He tells us that they can't determine at this point where the shots were fired, but nobody was struck by any gunfire. They were able to evacuate all of the remaining employees at the facility. About 32 people is what they said in their release, and they were taken to a nearby Holiday Inn to shelter and to interview and try and find out more information with this ongoing situation. The prosecutor says that the person went into the facility, fired the shots, took 2 people hostage, and it has become a barricade situation at the facility. And this is in the Pure Land Industrial Park off I-295. And this is what the prosecutor said when he was describing the situation.
There was a barricaded situation with a gentleman and 2 young ladies that were essentially taken hostage. Shots were fired. There's no indication of any injuries at this point in time. There was currently an ongoing investigation by the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office, as well as other entities that are attempting to resolve this matter in a fashion whereby there's no harm to person or any other individuals.
Now, as of 10 minutes ago when they briefed us, they said that no one had been injured. The 2 women that were taken hostage, not injured. And in fact, their trained hostage negotiators had been in contact with the shooter, but they could not relay to us his identity, the identity of the women involved in this, or if he had any demands at this point. But we did just get an update within the last 3 minutes that they plan to come back out to these microphones at any moment to update us, because apparently there were some more shots fired at the scene within the last few moments. And so it looks like they're about to take the microphone now. We will step out and let you hear from, this is Charles Fiore. He is the prosecutor here in Gloucester County, New Jersey, and he's about to address the media with another update about what's happening at the UPS facility in Logan Township.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Could I please have your attention? I've just been advised and verified that the matter has been resolved through the intervention of the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office and other law enforcement. They were able to apprehend the suspect. Apparently was shot. The extent of his injuries are unknown at this point in time. He's been transported to the hospital. Both of the hostages have also been taken from the scene. Apparently there's no serious injuries to either one of the hostages at this point in time. So again, the matter has been resolved. The condition of the suspect is still unknown at this point in time, but the matter has in fact been resolved.
Can you tell us whether he fired at authorities or authorities fired at him?
I am not certain at that. I know that the proper protocol and tactics were employed by Gloucester County SWAT and other agencies, and we're uncertain as to how the incident took place.
How was the shooting started?
And we're uncertain about that. That's correct. So.
Did you say that the women are okay?
The women apparently are okay, yes, from what we've been told. We've been advised.
Can you tell us the relationship between the man and the 2 women?
I don't know at this point in time. All that will be released later on as we review the investigation.
Do we have his name, the suspect's name?
No, I do not.
Okay. And was there any motive, anything that he said to the negotiators?
Nothing I can reveal at this point in time. Again, further details of the investigation will be revealed once they're reviewed.
Is he someone known to you?
Not to us. I'm not aware of who the gentleman is. Okay.
So we don't know this was a domestic situation or anything like that?
No, we do not. We can't confirm that at this point in time. That's correct.
Do you know if he worked at UPS?
I do not know if he worked. I know both women worked at UPS.
And can you at least give us an indication, did they know each other? Did the women know this man?
There was apparently a relationship between the man and one of the women. That's correct. Prior relationship.
Did police decide to intervene, or how did this...
They would follow the normal SWAT protocol that's in place. As part of their tactical training, they will make a determination as to whether or not it's appropriate to intervene using force at any point in time.
So he did not surrender. There was an intervention.
There was an intervention. That is accurate. That's correct, yes.
He did not surrender.
He did not surrender. That's correct.
Was he
They decided at some point that this was getting dangerous enough they needed to take
It's
action.
part of their tactical training and a protocol. That's what they would follow. That's correct.
Just so I'm clear, how many shots were fired and how would you describe what happened?
I cannot verify how many shots were fired at this point in
Can you
time.
tell us how they went in?
I cannot. I don't know at this point in time.
And-
Pardon me? It's my understanding they worked at UPS. That's correct.
Did he return fire?
I'm not certain whether he did or not. There are no injuries from a law enforcement standpoint. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
It was Gloucester County Prosecutor Charles Fiore updating us on this situation, which has now been resolved with both of the hostages being released and apparently not suffering any serious injuries. He confirms that this was a SWAT intervention that ended the hostage situation, the barricade situation at the UPS facility in Logan Township. Did not know at this point if the shooter had returned fire at any of the SWAT members, but they say that this was part of the protocol, that at some point they made a determination that an intervention was necessary and that the person that has been holding this hostage situation since 8:30 this morning was in fact shot and has been taken to a local hospital for evaluation. We don't know his condition at this time, and they have not given us any information about his identity. The only update that we know as far as his relationship with the two women is that both women were employees there and that he had some kind of a relationship with at least one woman. So again, hostages have now been released. The shooter has been neutralized. He has been shot, and he is now getting medical attention. Live at Logan Township Police Headquarters, I'm Cleve Bryan, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, Cleve with a major update there. 3.5-hour standoff coming to an end. Thank you, Cleve.